Me, really, what it was this aha moment, because I thought to myself, for me, I'm a very reflective person, and that's something that's really important, I think, especially with as fast as our world moves now. I mean, we literally, what I call it is kind of the VUCA world, and we move so fast that I don't think we take those reflective moments. So for me to look at this technique and not only take that reflective moment, but how you can, just like we were talking about, how you can identify it, then you can work through it, and you can connect with people on a deeper level. I think it was just, it's kind of like I teach communications. And when I look at communications, everyone knows how to communicate, right? But they don't do it intentionally. And this is an even deeper level, because you can't even communicate effectively if you haven't taken care of the emotions underneath what's lying below the communication. So it just is, it's one of those things we think we know, and then you walk in and you go, whoa, I have a whole new level of understanding. And with that understanding, for me, it's a lot of, I don't want to say power, because I don't mean power, but I think it gives me more choices. It gives me more control over how I respond and react, and I can identify more how I am in communication as well. And it's such a great way to slow things down, to really get to what matters with people, whether it be in your own life or even, people you work with. It just is a phenomenal process. And I loved walking through it. I thought that the 3 days were perfect, being able to really not just hear the information, but to walk through it was really powerful, to see it in action. I think my key takeaway was really that I can use this anywhere, and that I don't have to let the emotion get out of control. If I can bring everything back to emotion versus the story, or the context of everything is set in. So once you get through the story and find out what's really going on, then you can really connect with people. But if you don't ever address that, if you stay in the story or in the scenario of what's happening, then you don't get to it. And I think that really narrowing in on, why do you feel, or why do I feel rejected or abandoned, or whatever that feeling is that's coming up. So I think it's really powerful to be able to just really dig in deep and find out what's triggering, because then all sorts of conflict washes away. Once you get to that main emotion, you can literally stop being in conflict or having those kinds of challenges anymore, and become connected, because we are wired for connection. This I know. I think it's one of those things that people get trained in all different areas, and they go to all these trainings, they get really excited, and they're like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And they go and they do it for a couple of weeks, which is great. And it's wonderful. And those changes are good. But the challenge is if they're not dealing with the emotion underneath what's going on at the higher levels, then they may not be reducing conflict. That may not be their issue, but they're probably not driving connection the way they could to really get this fine-tuned, in sync team that they could have, as well as making their employees feel valued and heard and validated and respected, that this process gives you. And I think that is something that a lot of organizations, we've really shied away from in the past. And now people are starting to talk about emotions and how important they are. And for me, I don't know how anyone could split themselves in half and not bring their emotions to work. So clearly it needs to be something that's addressed and is happening on the undercurrents, whether we know it or not. So being able to do this in an organization, I think, is really going to help fine-tune and engage teams so that they're really connected and engaged in what they're doing at work. I think it's phenomenal.